we'll blink here and we'll be sitting on our couch Saturday morning watching a little game day, getting ready for the Hogs. But yeah, it's a good week. That bulletin board material that Arkansas put out got me fired up, got me ready to go for this weekend. So excited to get after it and discuss it here.
As someone that, has to put out some content for us on the socials, I love when I get a post like that. Like, I love when I get a quote. That's an easy one. That's a layup for me, right? Sometimes the harder ones, you got to go diving into what someone said on something. This was out in the open. Mike Washington, I should say. Mike Washington Jr., the running back for the Razorbacks, put this one out publicly. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the rest of the crew back from fall break. We'll begin with Garrett. Garrett, how are you, and how was your break?
Yeah, it was good. Definitely a quick week for me. No class Monday, Tuesday. I don't have class Friday, so just a little two-day week this week. Get into the football games this weekend, which I'm looking forward to. And, William, you know what tonight is?
What is tonight?
Tonight is Wednesday night. Conference USA.
Yes,
back.
it is.
So we got 49 days of football in a row starting tonight. This is the most wonderful time of the year.
This is a fun time. As you mentioned, we got some action tonight. 49 days. How about that, folks? 49 days of NFL or college football on your television starts today. And while I'm not head over heels for the matchups tonight, I will say I am looking forward to having some Tuesday action. There's some action in the future as well. I'm looking forward to those. Obviously, not a great slate of games. We do see the Blue Raiders of MTSU in action, though. Not just down the road. Derek Mason getting his group fired up. So it'll be on my television tonight. I watched NBA preseason basketball last night on Peacock. So I'm all for some college football tonight. Jackson, how are you?
I'm great. Got some playoff baseball tonight. All 4 games tonight. Hockey's back. It's early. I'm not super into hockey in October, but still, we'll have to tune in to the Predators' first game tomorrow night. I'm good. I enjoyed my break. It was nice to get home, see the family.
Yeah.
Unfortunate Monday with the Chiefs, but
yeah,
it was nice to see me be right about Alabama winning multiple scores against Vanderbilt.
There you go. Yeah, hey, that was a very significant.
You didn't have to look at William in his Trevor Lawrence costume either.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad, Sam. The great thing about yesterday, Jackson, was everyone came out of there and said, William, I took you a little bit more seriously today wearing that outfit. So, and also we added in some new sound bites. Dude, do you want to hear it, Jackson?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and play it, Sam.
Duval.
We have some new sound bites. We've added to the type of performance,
expanding the repertoire.
Yes, exactly. Now we got 3 things in the file: the intro, the outro, and Duval. So there we go. We'll continue to work on that. But anyway, good stuff. Let's get into the action with Tennessee and Arkansas. We'll go inside the matchup for the Razorbacks and Volunteers. And yesterday, we talked about how Arkansas is averaging 36.4 points per game so far this season, a mark that ranks 22nd nationally and 5th in the SEC. Taylon Green and the passing offense gets most of the headlines, and it's been good, averaging 300 yards per game, a mark that ranks 18th nationally and 4th in the SEC. But it's the running game that's been all the more impressive this season. Arkansas ranks 2nd in the SEC in rushing offense, and it's been pretty consistent through all 5 games this season. The Razorbacks are also pretty good in the margins as well. They're converting 57.9% of third down attempts, which ranks 5th nationally. And they've also scored touchdowns on 17 of 19 red zone trips. They get inside the 25, they're able to convert. Tennessee's red zone defense, on the other hand, has not been very good to this point this season, so that will be a test for the Volunteers Saturday. But I want to focus on Taylon Green, the former Boise State quarterback who transferred over to Arkansas last year. I have made the argument multiple times that I felt like he should have transferred out this season. I didn't think Sam Pittman was going to last the rest of the season. And I think Taylon Green's a very talented player. I think he could have had the opportunity to go somewhere else and, be a big-time impact for them. And, hopefully, in his case, have an opportunity to play in a college football playoff or contend for a college football playoff, that is. But Green showed loyalty, and he's also showed serious flashes since last season, as he dazzled last year. He's taken a step forward in his second year with Bobby Petrino The 6'6" signal caller has completed 62% of his passes for 1,398 yards and 12 touchdowns to go along with 5 interceptions. But the stuff he does on the ground is very, very impressive as well. Leads Arkansas with 441 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Green is up Joey Aguilar with one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the SEC. A good quarterback matchup on Saturday. And I want to focus on Taylon Green first because I think he's arguably the best player for this Arkansas team. And with Bobby Petrino still sticking around, he's going to have his signal caller on Saturday, unlike the defense, who had a number of changes. But for me, I think Taylon Green is a guy that is a little bit boom or bust. Like, there are some plays that are really, really impressive. He'll roll out of the pocket, zip it down the field, and you're like, man, that's a good ball. Or, he'll run out of the pocket and then extend plays with his legs, and you're like, man, that's a tough guy to bring down. But at the same time, on those same type of plays, there are other instances where he throws it into harm's way, throws it into double coverage, forces a turnover, or, causes a turnover that way. So I think he's just a little bit erratic sometimes. And you see this with some of these type of players where, they're really, really athletic. They can do a lot of different things. They can raise your ceiling as a team, but also there are those moments where they kind of put you in tough situations. I think you saw that against Memphis, where Green took a number of sacks in the backfield, kind of danced around a little bit too much, had a couple of bad reads on some RPOs and read options. So if Tennessee is able to get in the backfield and cause him to have to make these quick decisions, time has told us so far this season that he isn't great in those spots. So that's one thing. And then down the field, I think it's all about separation the receivers get. You saw against Memphis, he hit a couple of really easy ones because the coverage would have a huge breakdown, or he would just layer it really well over the opposing defense and coverage. So I think, again, it goes back to getting that pressure on Green in the backfield, forcing those quick decisions and forcing him to be a little bit off platform, not be able to, get the most accurate ball down the field, because if he has the time, this is a guy that will make plays on Saturday. So again, I think he's a very talented player, has a ton of experience in college football. He's a little erratic, though, and that's where this Tennessee defense and defensive front needs to get in the backfield and force some quick decisions. Garrett, what do you make of Taylon Green, and what are you looking for him to do on Saturday?
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly as you said, uber talented athlete, very athletic, almost 1,400 passing yards. QBR is not usually a stat I look at, but when you have a top 5 QBR in the nation, I think that shows, you can make the throws, you can make the plays. As you said, very dynamic with his legs. He can create plays rolling out into the pocket, get a first down on, plays that most quarterbacks wouldn't be able to. As far as I'm concerned, he's the second best dual threat quarterback in the SEC behind John Mateer. As you said, he can make all the plays. He is a little bit erratic. He throws into coverage sometimes. He throws some over the middle balls that can be a little bit dangerous, especially when you're playing up against a good defense. But the way that the Tennessee secondary has been a little bit inconsistent this year, I think you're going to see him take some shots down the field. He's going to try and test the Tennessee linebackers and up front by, rolling out into the pocket and getting some extra yardage and some RPO plays and see what they can do there. So I think they're going to throw a really mixed bag at the Tennessee offense with the Tennessee defense with what this Arkansas offense can do. And I think you just have to always keep an eye on him because, as you said, there's other playmakers on the field for Arkansas. They don't have a problem scoring points, and he's the leader of that offense, and it all goes through him.
Yeah, and Sam, you do a lot of coverage of the SEC in general for the Southeastern Conversation here on the Fan Run Podcast Network. Make sure you go check that out. But you covered this Arkansas team as well. What have you made of Taylon Green so far through the season?
Yeah, Taylon Green's a guy that I feel like is he's putting the team on his back. It kind of feels like, and he's someone that we saw last year, obviously, go get the best of Tennessee, and kind of to your point, he's a guy that kind of rides with the momentum. And, he got hot early in that Tennessee game, and he was able to ride that out and continue to make positive plays. And he's a dangerous guy because that's an explosive offense, both just running the football and down the field. So, it's going to require the most out of your team this week. And to me, I'm kind of keying in on those Tennessee linebackers this week because I know that's been a bit of a topic of discussion with some of the run fits and stuff like that there. A guy that's that dangerous with his legs as well as passing, I think you're going to need guys like Arian Carter and Edwin Spillman to have kind of their sharpest game, just, knowing how to communicate with that defense and obviously knowing that even if the play breaks down, Taylon Green's a guy that can go kill you with his legs. So very dangerous player on his own. I definitely think he doesn't have as much talent around him as he did last year, so that gives me a little bit more confidence. But like Garrett was saying, he's a veteran, and he's a guy that definitely has done it at every level and every stop, and has played in some big games. So he's not going to be I don't think this is going to be a guy that makes this game kind of feel like the moment's too big for him.
Sure. And Jackson, you're pretty particular with your quarterbacks. What do you make of Taylon Green through 5 games this season?
I like Taylon Green. I really wish he had left Arkansas and gone somewhere he could actually thrive.
Yeah.
But we've seen mobile QBs really hurt Tennessee in the past, and that's what we're going to have to find some way to counter in this game. I believe he's had more than 80 rushing yards in every game.
Yeah, and he's a guy that, very good on the ground. As Garrett mentioned, a dual threat guy. One of the better ones in the SEC. John Mateer right up there. I'd even throw like a Bo Perbula as well, as he showcased some good plays with his legs as well. But knowing that this offense is strong for Arkansas, I do want to kind of throw this out there. Are you expecting, is it more likely we see a shootout on Saturday between Tennessee and Arkansas, or is this going to be a one-sided affair where Tennessee's defense is able to make plays in the backfield and kind of contain this Arkansas group like we saw with Notre Dame? Notre Dame contained this Arkansas team, and that's why they had 13 points for the game. But we've also seen Arkansas go on the road to a team in Ole Miss that's now a top 5 team in the country, and they were right there with them. 41-35, the final, a 6-point loss for the Razorbacks. Right now, I kind of expect a little bit of a shootout because Bobby Petrino's still on the sideline for this team. And Tennessee has shown weaknesses allowing some big chunk plays. And, Mississippi State had some success running the football with Fluff Bothwell. I think Fluff Bothwell is a better running back than what Arkansas has, but their group has still been good. And this is a team that has had success down the field as well. I know they moved off Pittman, but Pittman was kind of the GM kind of deal for me. Obviously, he was a player's coach and oversaw everything as an offensive line coach originally. So he was more focused on that offensive side of the football. But Petrino has been the one that's orchestrated this offense to have 37 points a game. So right now, I kind of expect a little bit of a back and forth affair, more of a shootout in this one than Tennessee just kind of coming in and steamrolling the Razorbacks. Would you agree with that, Garrett, or do you think this Tennessee defense is going to be able to contain Arkansas like Notre Dame did in their last outing?
I think Arkansas is going to be able to score points. Obviously, you saw the Tennessee defense improve, in Starkville. Obviously, most of those points were via, turnovers or, a muff punt by Staley that put them in good, field position at the beginning of the game. But like you said, this is a team Arkansas is going to be able to score points. As I said a few minutes ago, the Tennessee secondary has still been inconsistent this year. This Arkansas team's been inconsistent, though, this year. They've played really good against Ole Miss, almost beat a top 5 team, and then basically no show against against Notre Dame. They played, solid against Memphis, but their defense wasn't good enough. So I think it just kind of depends on what Arkansas gives you. Obviously, this is a team, like you said, moving on from Sam Pittman. Sometimes you see, when you have an interim head coach, the players kind of play more, for an interim head coach. That's what you saw this week for UCLA. They played for Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel, and they end up winning the game. So I don't know if that's something that plays into Arkansas. I think that this game being at home in Knoxville is big for Tennessee. This is not a game that you would want to be playing on the road, but I still think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, and I could see Arkansas touching somewhere around the 30-point mark.
Okay. Sam, what do you project for this one? A shootout or kind of a one-sided affair?
I'm going to split it right down the middle if that's all right. I do think this is going to be a game that you're exchanging scores kind of in that first half and maybe kind of into that third quarter as well. But ultimately, I think kind of to Garrett's point there, I think the depth and the talent of this Tennessee roster will eventually win out. And I think some of those in-game adjustments as well will work in Tennessee's favor. I still just have a lot of skepticism on a really, really bad defense just somehow figuring out how to play in a week. So I could see this Arkansas offense having some success early on in this football game, but ultimately I think Tennessee kind of pulls away towards the end.
Jackson, what about you? Shootout or one-sided affair?
I think it's going to be one-sided. I agree with Garrett that I think Arkansas will be able to put up points, but I don't think it'll be the volume that Tennessee will. So okay. I think like in the event the final score is like 49-24. I mean, that's still a one-sided affair, but Arkansas put up points. So
Okay. All right.
I think that's where I'll lean.
Okay, good deal. We'll now go to this Razorbacks defense here in a second, but I do want to mention one more thing. We talk about that bulletin board material and talking about this Arkansas offense. Mike Washington Jr., the running back for this Razorbacks team, had a very interesting quote today. When asked about facing Tennessee, Mike Washington said, quote, "They have a great defense, but a lot of holes in their defense. So it's going to be a fun game." Now, it's kind of counterintuitive that he says they have a great defense, but a lot of holes, and then doubles down on that in the following sentence. But, I think if there's any extra motivation for a Tennessee defense that has, faced a lot of criticism so far through the season, obviously last year, this was one of the best defenses in the country, held opponents to, 16 points a game heading into that Ohio State matchup. This year, it's around 30, which is sub 100 in the country. So obviously there's been a little bit of a difference this season, but this is still a strong group that is continuing to get healthier as David Hobbs is back in the mix this week. I wouldn't rule it out yet that we could possibly see Jeremiah McCoy on Saturday as well. But for right now, you at least know David Hobbs will be back on the sideline. So you're continuing to get healthier. And in the last outing, you had 2 defensive touchdowns. You had the interception, pick 6 from Colton Hood, and you had the scoop and score off the Tyree West hit from Joshua Josephs. 14 points were scored by your defense last week. That's winning football. That's complimentary football, and that was on the road. So I think now you're giving a little extra motivation to Tennessee's defense, who's playing in their home building. I know the communication will be tough as Neyland will be rocking in a revenge spot. That will now go into the evening with the kick being at 4:15. But for guys like Arian Carter, if I heard that, I'm ready to roll. Arian Carter's averaging 15 and a half tackles, 16 tackles a game right now in SEC play with 14 and 17 respectively against Georgia and Mississippi State. I hear a guy like Mike Washington say that about my team. I'm fired up. So I think that's could possibly go against the Razorbacks saying that. And this stuff always will come out in any game, right? There's kind of that one thing you remember that opposing player. Last week was Diego Pavia saying, if we play our game, it's not going to be close. Those Alabama players remembered that. Those Alabama players, they respect Diego Pavia for what he said, but they remember what he said. And I think that was shown last week. Is this bulletin board material for this linebacking group, defensive line, secondary, this Tennessee defense with the opposing player who's about to play you in about 4 days, saying that it's a good defense, but they got a lot of holes. Bulletin board material, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely wakes up your defense. Makes, like you said, bulletin board material. I think it makes the linebackers and up front definitely want to get quicker up to the quarterback, create pressure. I think it's helpful for the Tennessee defense to hear something like that. At the same time, I really don't have that big of a deal with what he said. I don't think it was that big of a deal. I think he was honestly kind of correct. The Tennessee defense has been good. They improved, significantly in Starkville 2 weeks ago, but there has been some holes in the defense. I think it's been more tackling issues in the secondary than it has been in the linebacker group or up front. But still, I think as an opposing player, that's just something that's going to come out.
So are we overreacting to this a little bit, Sam? You said you were a little bit more fired up about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is great bulletin board material for this defense. And I don't know, man. You kind of get your identity tested a little bit by anyone around the conference, or just questioned, maybe I should say, rather than tested. I think that's something that definitely fires you up, and especially kind of this early in the week. It's not like this is a Saturday morning comment or something that he made, or late Friday after kind of a lot of the preparation's been done. I imagine the leaders in that locker room will probably go into practice this week and they got social media just like us. I'm sure they're going to see it and say, hey, let's go out there and let's have a great week of preparation and kind of make these guys eat their words a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the more motivation for a Tennessee defense. Again, trying to continue to get better each week, trying to get back to that standard set last year. An opposing player that's about to walk into your own building saying that adds a little bit of fuel to the fire. One more thing on the Arkansas offense. I did want to mention a couple other players. An offensive player that you feel like, our listening crowd should know. I'm going to say Omega Blake, and I will apologize. Yesterday, when I was talking about this Arkansas offense, I think I said Santanga was an Arkansas wide receiver. Obviously, he's transferred to Oklahoma. He's no longer with Arkansas now, but Omega Blake is with this Razorbacks team. Charlotte transfer has been the go-to receiver for Taylon Green so far through the season. 30 passes brought in for 399 yards and 3 touchdowns, an average of 13.3 per reception. He's a veteran player, a senior, kind of bounced around like many players have in college football, but you've got to key in on that, go-to receiver, because Taylon Green, when he's put under pressure, he looks up and tries to find where Omega Blake is. And there have been, a couple of examples of that where, against Notre Dame, obviously a little bit of a lopsided affair, but 73 yards against Memphis, 60 yards, Ole Miss, 81 yards. So against some top 25 opponents, he's averaging right around 75 yards a game. So this guy you're going to have to key in on and know where he is on the field. So I look for Omega Blake to be an impact for the Razorbacks, a guy that I'm watching for on Saturday outside of Taylon Green. Anyone else you'd like to add, Garrett?
I think Braylon Russell's an interesting one. He was one of the top, freshman running backs in the SEC last year. His load's gone down a little bit this year, only 32 carries, 165 yards, still averaging 5 yards per carry. I like Raylan Sharp and wide receiver as well, too. Fresno State transfer. Again, only 14 receptions, but he's averaging over 12 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. I think both those guys can make impact plays on the field. But as you said, Omega Blake, he's their deep ball threat. He's their wide receiver 1. I thought he was pretty solid at South Carolina 2 years ago, transferred to Charlotte, was very good in the G5 ranks last year, comes back up to Arkansas, has 400 receiving yards almost this year. You got to keep your eye on him, most importantly.
Yeah, Sam, anyone else that you have your eye on?
I mean, those guys do kind of feel like the main targets out there. I don't think that this is as dangerous of an Arkansas offense as last year. There's no, Andrew Armstrong or the Lions somehow found Isaac Tesla, who was buried in their depth chart over there. But, I think those guys that you named, a Rohan Jones at tight end and kind of seeing how you can cover some of those guys, I think is definitely the plan A. But as we all know, the guy at quarterback who is obviously your leading passer, but also your quarterback being your leading rusher, I think that's clearly kind of the main plan on Saturday. Yeah,
expect a heavy dose of Taylon Green on Saturday. We'll talk more about that Arkansas defense tomorrow when we continue our Inside the Matchup. But when we come back, we'll switch over to the court. Nate Ament making some big headlines early in the season, or really, we haven't even started the season. Early in the preseason. We're still in preseason mode, folks, and Nate Ament is drawing a ton of attention. We'll talk about that and what we expect from Ament in his freshman year for the Volunteers when we return right here on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court-martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
The number one problem we see at our clinic is delaying treatment. ED can get worse.
Book your appointment right now. Call 865-544-8220. Prefer privacy? Book online in under 30 seconds at menspronaknxville.com.
At our clinics, men's sexual health is the whole job. Look, I'm a normal guy too. I hate going to the doctor, but we've helped so many guys in here just like you. Even if pills have failed, our medical team is going to take the time to talk you through it. Same day in-house lab, and the treatments, well, they could change your life.
Your local medical team has your back. ED, performance, Peyronie's, size and shape modeling. We tailor what works for you.
I'll get to the point. Can you imagine epic performance and epic sex? Yeah, I said it.
A stronger you is closer than you think. We're available right now. Call 865-544-8220 or book in 30 seconds or less at menspronknoxville.com. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your home exterior needs. If your home needs new siding, windows, doors, gutters, handrails, a deck, or a new roof, then give my friends at North Knox Siding and Windows a call at 865-689-0505. You can also visit their showroom at 5618 North Broadway. Locally owned and operated and proudly serving all of Knoxville and the surrounding areas, North Knox Siding and Windows. Online at northknoxsidingandwindows.com.
Hey Knoxville! Surfside iced tea and vodka, made with real brewed tea, is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Got a flat tire? Strange noise under the hood? Don't stress. Roll into Matlock Tire and Auto Service. From oil changes and brake repairs to brand new tires, Matlock's certified techs do it all. Fast, friendly, and fair priced, Matlock is the home of the price match guarantee. Bring in any competitor's ad and Matlock will match the exact same tire for the exact same price. Matlock Tire and Auto Service, 5 locations in East Tennessee. Visit matlocktireservice.com to find the location nearest you and schedule your appointment.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you listening along with us, whether it be on that free Fan Run radio app, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM here in K-Town on the local dial, or on the X/YouTube live stream. Have your listener watching. We do appreciate your time. Folks, want to remind you that the Fan Run box giveaway is alive and well. It's coming up on Halloween. We'll be live at Calhoun's on the River doing the official giveaway of the box. And folks, I can't tell you what's in it, but there are some really, really good prizes, stuff that you're going to want to get your hands on, stuff that could enhance your tailgating experience, maybe something that could enhance your football watching experience. Maybe I can't tell you what's in the box, but I will say there are some really, really good prizes. So make sure you're following all of the handles on social media for Fox Sports Knoxville Fan Run Radio. You'll get entries just by doing that. Engage with the content, comment, like, whatever it is. You get free entries by just being a Fan Run fan. It's very, very easy, folks. So make sure you're keeping a keen eye to the social media, and really looking forward to that giveaway. Also, really looking forward to doing Calhoun's on the River right before the Oklahoma matchup. That's going to be a lot of fun, so hope to see you out there as well. All right, we'll switch over to the basketball court. William, what are we doing? Talking about basketball a couple of days away from Tennessee and Arkansas. Well, folks, Tennessee basketball is on the horizon as well. It's crazy how fast time flies once the college football season gets going, but we are now in full swing for all Tennessee sports. And Tennessee basketball is one of them. Media days are tomorrow, and I think we're less than a month away from Texas and Duke and the Dick Vitale Classic for a big marquee college basketball game as well. So everything's on the horizon, folks, and we've got to talk about Tennessee five-star forward Nate Ament, who has added 19 pounds from April and is now 207 pounds according to NBA draft scout Jonathan Giovanni. Giovanni. It shouldn't be that hard to get that out, right? Jonathan Giovanni, who does a great job, by the way, Draft Express on Twitter. And he was in Knoxville, watched Nate Ament and company during that pro day. And this is what he had to say about the 6'10", 18-year-old wing. Quote, "He has perhaps the highest upside of any prospect in this draft class," he said. That's some really, really high praise for Ament. And 37 scouts from 29 teams attended Tennessee's pro day on Monday for Nate Ament and the rest of the Vols roster, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. But this is a group that has some talented players. Jacoby Gillespie's one of them. He's going to be one of the best newcomers in college basketball this season. But I feel like those 37 scouts were kind of keying in on one guy specifically for most of the time, and that is Ament. And, one of the things that was so fascinating about Ament's recruiting process, kind of knowing the ins and outs of what was going on behind the scenes, Rick Barnes identified Ament as his guy early on, and Tennessee was in a three-way kind of race to bring him to the respective school. Duke gave a full court press for this guy. I know Carlos Boozer was very involved in this one, trying to get him to come over. I think the Boozer twins as well were, recruiting Ament, saying, "Hey man, let's all team up. Let's do this." And Duke had a really good class. But Tennessee missed on an Isaac McNeely out of Virginia in the transfer portal, missed on a Rodney Rice out of Maryland in the transfer portal. And Barnes kind of came to and said, all right, I've got to make a splash play here. I'm not leaving Tennessee. I'm still coaching. I'm still pushing for a national championship. What's the type of player I need? I need a player that can do a lot, and that's Nate Ament. And a full court press was put on over the last 2 or 3 weeks of his recruitment leading up to the commitment date. And I think that speaks volumes to the type of player you're going to see this season. Rick Barnes has coached a lot of basketball, folks. He's coached a lot of really good players. Kevin Durant was on the phone with Nate Ament telling him, hey, man, go to Tennessee. Rick Barnes knows how to develop players, knows how to turn you in to someone like me, who's a 17-year NBA player, is Kevin Durant, who was with Barnes at Texas. So the expectations are most definitely going to be there for a guy like that. Any 5-star has high expectations. But I think Ament is going to be a player that could average right around 20 points a game in a very, very tough and competitive SEC, because he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities in different ways. From people I talk to in practice, this is a guy that's almost played every position this summer. They put him at point guard. They put him at shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. They want to run it whenever they can because he's that type of player. He's comfortable with the basketball in his hands as a guy that can bring it up the court. He's got the length and size at 6'10" to be able to play a small ball center and stretch the floor. This is a guy that's really good at getting to his shot, has become really smooth over the last year, and now adding in 19 pounds, you're going to get some big-time boost defensively, as Barnes does such a great job of, giving those attribute boosts to whoever comes into his program defensively. Like Chaz Lanier wasn't that great of a defender in early play last year, November, December. By the end of the season, he was picking up full court against Kentucky in a Sweet 16 game. Dalton Connect wasn't that willing of a defender when he got on campus. We knew he could play offense. We knew that. But wasn't that willing of a defender. And then by March, he's pinning blocks up against the glass and getting active on the rebounds. That's the type of development that Rick Barnes has. So for me, my expectations are Nate Ament is going to be one of the best freshmen in the country and is going to be a valuable player for this Tennessee basketball team this season. And I don't think those are unfair expectations. Garrett, when you look at Ament, what do you expect for him this upcoming season?
I think he's going to be really good. He's going to be a valuable, piece to this team of can you make a Final Four? You have a 5-star, freshman that, as you said, he's over 200 pounds now. He's added 19 pounds, 6'10". I mean, he can do pretty much anything. He can play any position on the court, it seems like. When you have 37 scouts from 29 NBA teams attending your pro day, I mean, you're obviously looked at as a pretty good player. I think that this is a guy that could be the SEC Freshman of the Year. I think this is a guy that could be the SEC Player of the Year if he plays to his highest potential available. I think he's probably going to be a lottery pick this upcoming NBA draft. He's obviously a one-and-done player here at Tennessee after the season, so you want to just get the most out of him that you can and see what you can do. But I'm with you. I think he's a guy that could go out there and average anywhere between 15 and 20 points per game this season.
Sam, what do you make of Ament? I mean, obviously he's a 5-star player, comes in with a lot of hype, but to me, he kind of feels like he's filled out his body and fits in well with this Tennessee team.
I think he fits in great. Yeah, and I think this is a guy that you might not even see the best version of Nate Ament until he leaves Tennessee, unfortunately. I think he's just one of those players that has such a high upside, and I do think that you talk about all of those kind of successful ventures out into the transfer portal from Rick Barnes, and I think he looks at Nate Ament and says, man, this is just a 5-star freshman that I know is just oozing with talent, and I've just kind of kind of put him in the right box. And I think his versatility is what makes this team so dangerous, because you've got that elite point guard with Gillespie. You've got some veteran guys coming back in that front court with Okpara and Jalen Carey. And I think Ament can really just do, multiple roles on this offense. And I don't know if you've really had a guy in the Rick Barnes era that has kind of the size that he has, while also having the scoring prowess and the ability to just play a lot of positionless basketball. And I think that's going to open up the rotations that you've got on this bench and all those guys that you've kind of stashed away. I think he makes this Tennessee team really, really interesting, just with how you can kind of shuffle that lineup in and out of a game, depending on matchup, or just in the middle of a game, kind of depending on what's working.
Yeah, Jackson, anything to add on Nate Ament? Very impressive freshman, but, anything else to add to the table?
Not really. I'm nowhere near basketball season yet to keep it buck. But everything I'm hearing from y'all makes me really excited about this guy. I'm excited for basketball season to kick off, but there's just so much going on with football.
Yeah, football brain's on.
I know, it's true. And I know.
And postseason baseball.
Yeah.
And just, I haven't even put a thought towards basketball yet.
And that's why I said earlier, I know it's, October, we've been so focused on football. Obviously, Tennessee and Arkansas playing this weekend, but, I just heard these numbers yesterday from Giovanni, and I'm like, man, I've got to put this out. People have got to hear this guy's added 19 pounds since arriving here. And I know everyone's focused on football. We're trying to make the college football playoff, but once you get to March, you're all tuned in to have Rick Barnes go that first Final Four. So I thought it was important to mention today, but obviously there's a lot going on, so I don't blame you one bit, Jackson. But I do want to mention this as well. I've long had a theory, at least in this transfer portal era now, where you've got some of these older players, graduate players still playing. The older teams, I feel like, have more success. Look at Florida last year, right? Walter Clayton Jr., an experienced guard, started off at Iona, had a season with the Gators the year before, and had played, 4 or 5 years of college basketball. Will Reichert the same way, a guy that started off at Belmont, then transferred over to Florida, had been there for a while. Elijah Martin was in the national championship game, or I guess they lost, but the Final Four, I should say, the Final Four back in 2023 with FAU. Like, you had experienced players on that team, and the same applied for Houston, who had a ton of experienced players on that group as well. So I feel like experience is a big value, and some of those freshman-oriented teams like Kentucky really started treading water once NIL and the transfer portal really boomed, because they're getting knocked out in the first and second round every year because these are 18-year-olds you're relying on. And Calipari could recruit these guys, and they'll be really good NBA players. They'll be better than the, Jack Golkes of the world that will work for Enterprise. But at least in those type of games, that veteran leadership, that veteran experience boded well for those, lower-seeded teams. So Nate Ament, obviously a freshman, is going to have some growing pains, but I feel like the difference with having those freshman-oriented teams, like even like last year, like Trey Johnson for Texas, he was the star of that team, and they were a solid group. Like Arthur Kaluma, I thought was a little bit underwhelming, and I guess who's their guard? The guy that has the receding hairline that needs to be fixed. I can't remember his name. But
Weaver.
Yeah.
Shindell or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Weaver. Anyway. But like, they had a veteran group, but I think this Tennessee group has a great balance of veteran leadership. Jacoby Gillespie was a guy playing in the Sweet 16 last year, was a part of that Crab 5 Maryland team. He's played a ton of college basketball. Felix Okpara has gotten his feet wet with the Volunteers as well. Amari Abram, I think, is a little bit of a wild card. We'll see if he ends up being a full-time starter for this team. But I feel like Ament's got the type of players around him that makes it to where he doesn't have to do everything and doesn't have the pressure of a Trey Johnson too. Okay, you're the guy. You get the ball in the crucial moments with not a whole lot of experience in those moments. So I think Ament's going to be a guy that fits in really well. And I think when you look at his size and frame, he doesn't look like a freshman. He doesn't look like an 18-year-old. Like there's some guys that come in are lanky as can be, look like they haven't eaten Wheaties in years. Ament looks pretty filled out right now. And the comfortability and his fluidity in his movement, I think, is a really big sign of that. So I have a lot of confidence that this is going to be a lottery pick this upcoming year. And I know right now that's kind of a easy take to give. He's mocked on every first-round projection to be a lottery guy, but we've also seen 5-star players that come in and underwhelm and don't end up being a 5-star, NBA draft pick selection, for lottery pick selection. But I feel like I don't have that kind of concern with Ament. And I don't just say that because he plays for Tennessee. I just look at what he brings to the table. And this is a guy that I think is continuing to get better and better and grow. So I don't have any doubt this is going to be a one-and-done lottery pick. Garrett, would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the schedule early in the season is something that he can kind of, it's a good schedule, and that gets you ready for SEC play. He's going to play Duke in an exhibition game early, get his feet in the water. You're going to play that Players Era tournament in Las Vegas where you're going to play multiple power opponents. You're going to play Louisville before you get into SEC play. Like, I think all those games set you up so that when you do get into SEC play in January, you're running on all cylinders. You saw Cooper Flagg last year. I think it was in the Kentucky game early in the season. He dribbles the ball off his foot out of bounds, has a couple turnovers to begin the season, ends up being, the number one pick in the draft. So I think you just see a guy like Ament go out there those first, couple months before Christmas, play good basketball, and then be ready to go for SEC play and be locked in and dialed in for the games that really 100% do matter once you get into January.
Real quick on the YouTube chat, we do have an answer on that Texas player. Aiden Sadati chimes in and says, my GOAT, Shendall Weaver. Dude is horrendous looking.
He is.
Well, yeah.
I think he got a new hairline for this year. I saw an interview with him, and honestly, it makes him look worse.
I think he put it back a couple of miles.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it moved up much. It kind of looks like Derek White when he was kind of holding on to his hairstyle. You might just need to kind of let it go. But we appreciate that, Aiden, for chiming in. Shendall Weaver. That guy's been there for a minute. But good for him for sticking it out, though. They've had a number of...
Jackson's just appalled by this haircut.
Jackson, you don't like the haircut from Weaver?
I now can put a name to this guy's face. I've seen this guy before, and oh my God.
Who was it? Played for TCU back in the day. He's from Memphis. He played at Bartlett. That's how I know him. But he was
albino.
He was albino.
Yeah, what was
I can't remember his name. Maybe Aiden can chime in on that one. TCU player that was albino.
That won't be a hard Google search here. Albino TCU basketball player. Jalen Fisher.
Jalen Fisher, that's what it was. Yeah, because he played at Bartlett down the road, and I remember when because he started off. I don't think he was at TCU the whole time. He started off somewhere else, and I think transferred to TCU. But anyway, he had a little bit of a tough time on camera day as well. Aiden chimes in once again. The lights were shining off of his forehead. Don't want to put a strobe light on him. But going back to Ament and off the topic of hairlines and Shendall Weaver, do you have the confidence that he is going to be a lottery pick right now? From what you've heard, from what you've seen, from practices and stuff like that, is a little bit too early to call that.
I mean, I think it's very fair to say that it is too early to call that, but I think Ament's a guy that has just so much versatility, and I think the skill that he's got at that size, the NBA is such a league based on like projectability, right? And you see so many guys kind of get drafted based off what their ceiling can be, maybe not what they're currently kind of doing. I feel like you see that a lot with international players, especially in the NBA, and I feel like Ament's going to go out there and do it at the highest level in the SEC. So if those NBA scouts kind of already see that projectability with him, and if he just kind of puts it together on the court for an SEC team, I think it's going to be hard to keep him out of the lottery.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of opportunities in the SEC as well, and also we got the game times announced on yesterday. A lot of late games. I think 4 that tip off after 8:00. So get that coffee or Mountain Dew ready for some late night Tennessee basketball. But that tells me, hey, these networks say this is going to be a good team. We want them in the prime time slot. We want people staying up for them. So I'm for it. I don't mind a little bit of a late night game. It does make it a little bit tougher. Well, actually, I mean, I don't do 6 to 8 anymore. So I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't have a problem with it at all. Jared Marshall chimes in, quote, I'm pretty sure his name is pronounced Kendall. Errors and omissions. I'm sorry. Kendall Weaver. Not, what was I saying? Shendall? Yeah. Kendall Weaver. So we appreciate that, Jared, for chiming in. All right, when we come back, Best Bets Look Ahead presented by VIP Play. Stay right here. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Your smile says it all, so make sure it's saying the right thing. At Knoxville Smiles, we believe healthy teeth mean happy lives. Whether it's a routine cleaning, whitening for that big event, or fixing a nagging toothache, our gentle team is here for you. With flexible hours, family-friendly care, and the latest technology, Knoxville Smiles makes every visit stress-free. Don't wait another day to love your smile. Call Knoxville Smiles today at 865-539-1776 or book online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Rickard Ridge Barbecue, located in beautiful Cove Lake State Park. Rickard Ridge is home of the best ribs in the Volunteer State. Smoked daily by Pitmaster Mark Rickard. The barbecue at Rickard Ridge is mouth-watering, fall-off-the-bone delicious. Take the scenic drive up I-75 to exit 134. For directions and to look at the rest of the menu, visit Rickard Ridge online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Hi, this is Bo Kregner from the Kregner Group at Realty Executives, and I know there's a lot of choices here in East Tennessee when it comes to choosing a realtor. Here's why the Kregner Group is different. At the Kregner Group, our motto is walking by faith, serving others. It's how I live my life. It's how I run my business. Here at the Kregner Group, we're committed to doing real estate the right way. Faith, honesty, integrity. The Kregner Group. Call me anytime at 865-742-1035 or visit my website at bonowshouses.com.
Got a problem tree looming over your home? Call ECR Total Landscapes. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, our certified pros get the job done safely and efficiently. We're licensed, insured, and ready 24/7 for emergency calls. Big or small, we cut them all. ECR Total Landscapes. Call now for a free estimate, 865-384-2012, and mention promo code FANRUN for free stump grinding on any tree removal now through the end of the year. Also, visit us at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Hey folks, if you're in need of a lawyer, you need to call my friend Jerry Givens. I've known Jerry since high school and can personally vouch for him. He's East Tennessee through and through, and if you're going through a divorce, bankruptcy, or a DUI case, you'll need someone you can trust on your side to help you navigate the local legal system. You can trust Jerry Givens. Call the law offices of Jerry Givens today at 865-801-9250 to schedule your free consultation. That's 801-9250.
Dick's House of Sport at Westtown Mall is a destination devoted to sport, and it's your destination for exclusive events and experiences. Come visit a store like no other. Check out our 40-foot rock wall, golf performance center, Hit Tracks batting cage, and outdoor turf field. You can now rent our space for private events and birthday parties. Learn more about our events and exclusive product launches on Facebook and Instagram at Dick's House of Sport KNX. Dick's House of Sport, proud partner of Tennessee Athletics.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you for hanging out with us on this Wednesday. Time is just flying by when you've got college football in full swing. Now time for our Best Bets Look Ahead, presented by VIP Play. Folks, if you're a college football or NFL fan, VIP Play is the place to get in on the action, especially if you're in Tennessee. Go claim your VIP Play welcome bonus, and when you make your first bet of $20 or more, you'll get $100 instantly in bonus bets by using the code FANRUN. That's all caps FANRUN to claim $100 in bonus bets, and the app experience is as seamless as ever. Plenty of great profit boost and giveaways that rewards the actual user, so no reason not to get in on the action. FANRUN is the code, all caps, to give you $100 in bonus bets. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 years or older and located in Tennessee to bet. Okay, let's continue our Best Bets Look Ahead for Week 7 of college football. We've had 5 straight positive weeks here on the show, folks, so you might want to perk those ears up. South Florida, North Texas on Friday, a game we talked about yesterday. This line has moved back in the favor of the Mean Green. North Texas now a 1.5-point favorite. Yesterday, South Florida was a 1.5-point favorite. So this line has now moved back. And this is a North Texas team that has not played the caliber of opponents that South Florida has this season. But they are 5-0 for a reason. And this is a good football team. And they are canceling class on Friday so that everyone can get in on the action in this one. It's going to be a rocking environment. I still kind of lean South Florida here, but again, we'll monitor that money because I feel like the public is going to swamp the nationally ranked team on the road against Little North Texas, but this is not Little North Texas in terms of the model. So I lean South Florida at the current moment, but I could totally wind up on North Texas by Friday. We talked about Alabama and Missouri yesterday. That line continues to stay at 3 on VIP play, and that's really interesting because Missouri has an undefeated record at 5-0. They're playing at home. It's at 12 o'clock. Bo Perbula I like a lot. They haven't played the caliber of teams as Alabama yet. So right now I do lean the Tide, even though I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a public side. We'll go down the list. Some significant line movement in this one, folks. Indiana traveling to Oregon. This line was 9.5 on Sunday night. Now it's down to 7.5. Indiana has brought the books down toward the Ducks are now just a touchdown and a half-point favorite. But this will be a model play as long as Oregon is a favorite of more than 3 points. I will be taking the Ducks on Saturday, so that will be one of those system plays that I continue to do. Last week, it was a 2-unit play against Vanderbilt for Alabama, and they covered that number. So Oregon right now would be a system play. Another interesting line that I look at, or two of them really, Iowa State now traveling to Colorado. The Buffs are 2-4 on the season, but only a 3-point dog at home. What does Iowa State look like coming off the loss to Cincinnati? Down 2 starting defensive backs. I will say for Colorado, I can't stand watching Caden Salter throw the ball anymore, and they've got to make a change. If Juju Lewis was playing, maybe this is a little bit of a bigger line, maybe a 4.5 for Colorado, just with that inexperience. But I think he'd be the better option as Caden Salter continues to make a ton of head-scratching decisions. So don't have an official side on that one either, but I do look for the Buffs maybe to get a little value at home, especially if you get that 3.5 number. And then yesterday we heard the news about John Mateer as he currently intends to play. Texas is still a 1.5-point favorite here, folks. But from hearing from some people at FanDuel Sportsbooks, if Mateer plays, the line will be 1.5 for Texas. If Mateer doesn't play, it'll move up to 5.5 for the Longhorns in kind of a desperation spot on a neutral site field. That one gives me a lot of worry as well. But as I said earlier in the week, I feel like this could be one of those reverse sharp weeks where a lot of people see these lines and say, oh, if it doesn't make sense, we need to take Missouri at the +3. Oh, that doesn't make sense. We need to take Colorado. I'm not necessarily there this week because I feel like this could be the reverse of that, where people try to bite on those odd lines and instead end up losing their wallet on Saturday. So, Jackson, real quick, something to add.
I was going to mention the UGA Auburn.
Yes, that's another one too. Yes.
Georgia's only favored by 3.5, which that's not even kind of shocking. That's pretty shocking.
Yeah, very shocking.
I know they're going on the road to play at Auburn, but it seems like the books are giving Auburn a lot of benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's going to be a night game in Auburn, and we have not seen Jackson Arnold look really comfortable outside of that Baylor game. But the reason why I look at that +3, Jackson, and say I could kind of see it, Georgia doesn't have that pass rush. They don't have that same type of pass rush in years past, and Baylor did not have any pass rush either. Oklahoma and Texas A&M had that pass rush. So that's what makes me think a little bit, okay, might have a little bit of value here with the Tigers, but I have a hard time imagining that Georgia drops one on the road this early again. 2 losses on the season to Alabama and Auburn. I don't know if I can believe that. But again, we'll continue to monitor these lines throughout the week. That was the Best Bets Look Ahead presented by VIP Play. When we come back, it's our college football contending questions. And also, Joe Flacco is on the move. He's headed to Cincinnati. We'll tell you if he'll be there for a bowl of Skyline Chili or he'll be there for the rest of the season. We'll talk about it when we return right here on Fan Run Radio.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox, Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Today, we raise a glass of Jameson Irish whiskey to the sport of football. Hear, hear!
To Gaelic football, Born in Ireland in 1885 in its thrilling blend of soccer, rugby, and basketball. On a massive field, 15 players kick or hand pass a round ball that scored points over a bar or into a net. No pads, no helmet, no sense.
Hear, hear! To college football, which kicked off in 1869 when Rutgers beat Princeton 6-4 in the Battle of New Jersey. With 11 players in helmets and pads, teams battle on a 100-yard gridiron with explosive pass plays and hard-hitting tackles. Unless you're called for targeting.
Hear, hear! Since 1780, Jameson Irish whiskey has been enjoyed by sports fans all around the globe. Whether your football is Gaelic, American, or even soccer, we can all agree on super smooth Jameson Irish whiskey.
Hear, hear!
Are you tired of waiting on interest rates to drop before you start saving money? I'm Chris Burleson with University Lending Group, and I've got a better way. With a traditional closed-end mortgage, most of your payment goes straight to interest, not your balance. But with my Smart Loan, every deposit you make cuts your principal immediately and reduces interest in real time. On average, my clients pay off their mortgage in just 7 years. Call me today at 865-388-7634 or visit smartloantn.com and let's turn your income into financial freedom. NMLS number 332941.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Hey, Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
Dick's House of Sport at Westtown Mall is a destination devoted to sport, and it's your destination for exclusive events and experiences. Come visit a store like no other. Check out our 40-foot rock wall, golf performance center, Hit Track's batting cage, and outdoor turf field. You can now rent our space for private events and birthday parties. Learn more about our events and exclusive product launches on Facebook and Instagram at Dick's House of Sport KNX. Dick's House of Sport, proud partner of Tennessee Athletics.
For over 3 years, Crumble Cookies has served the Knoxville area. From Clinton Highway to Parkside Drive, even our friends out in Maryville have reached you, our fans, with the best cookies in the game. This fall, Crumble is gearing up for yet another fantastic season. Whether you're tailgating or looking for a pick-me-up after getting the kids from school, Crumble has you covered. Download the Crumble app to check out this week's rewards and features. And stop on by. Tell them Fan Run sent you, but don't miss the cookies.
Hey folks, if you're in need of a lawyer, you need to call my friend Jerry Givens. I've known Jerry since high school and can personally vouch for him. He's East Tennessee through and through, and if you're going through a divorce, bankruptcy, or a DUI case, you'll need someone you can trust on your side to help you navigate the local legal system. You can trust Jerry Givens. Call the law offices of Jerry Givens today at 865-801-9250 to schedule your free consultation. That's 801-9250.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Wednesday, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. Sam Beard, Garrett Armbrust, and Jackson Freeman joining you. I'm William Pattison. Great stuff in hour number 1. We'll continue it here in hour number 2 with our Week 7 college football contending questions, as we always do on Wednesday, bridging the gap between Week 6 storylines and what to expect in Week 7. And then a little bit later on, we'll also switch over to the NFL with some big news for the Browns and the Bengals, a new quarterback coming into town, and what that situation will look like for both sides in Cincinnati and Cleveland. We'll also wrap up with our final thoughts. I do want to begin with this, though. This is some of that, I guess, kind of broke right as we went on air, but has now become somewhat official. So the NCAA is going to allow for Division I athletes to bet on pro games, is what they're trying to pass here, or already have passed. And I just want to briefly say, I think this is not a smart decision by any means, because first off, these guys have plenty of connections with guys that are in the pros. You can't tell me that a guy at Ohio State right now can't hit up, Emeka Egbuka and ask about the Tampa Bay Bucks game plan against whoever they play against. Like, that is a problem. The integrity of, reaching out to one of your buddies who's playing on some of these teams. I think that's a insane edge. And the second thing that, I really didn't piece together, but when we were talking about it before we came on here, John Reed and I, John was like, you're now going to have some of these guys, bet on these games in the pros, lose money because they don't, they're not, sitting around studying lines and stuff like that. They're sitting there on Sunday saying, let's bet on the Chiefs, or let's bet on the Lions, or whatever it is. And they're going to lose money. And the easiest way for these guys to get it back is, I'm going to go a little bit under my total today and tell my friends about it and then have them pay me back, So like, I think you're just starting a horrible game, possibly by allowing these guys to bet. I don't think any player should be allowed to bet on any of these things. Like, I know that, gambling is starting to take over the world, and I love gambling on college football. I finally had to put the phone down on Sundays. I haven't bet on, I only bet on one NFL game this whole year, and it was Monday night, and it didn't go my way, so I was happy about it. But over the last 2 years, doing these college football picks, I then lose it all on Sunday because these lines are sharp as can be, and it's just, tough. I mean, who would have expected the Patriots to go on the road and went outright at the Bills on Sunday, right? So stuff like that. So, if professional handicappers are only hitting at like a 65, 60% rate in NFL, I have a hard time believing how, some guy that's studying playbooks all week is going to be able to have a successful time betting on these pro games when he's, sitting on the couch on Sunday. So I think it's a bad decision to allow these college athletes to get involved in gambling. I don't really see the perks of it. Anything from you guys on this? Obviously, gambling's become a really big deal for sports and for engagement, as everyone likes to kind of have an upper hand, an edge on sports lines. But allowing the college players to get involved in the pros, I don't like that. Garrett, what'd you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's different than, just, guys in college like you and me that like to just, have fun and, put a parlay on some games on a Saturday. I mean, these guys, like you said, they have connections to guys that are in the pros and can obviously, as you said, even fix their own game if, a buddy bets on them. But I don't know. I guess the NCAA just figures that it already happens unregulated. So you might as well just go ahead and say that they can do it because they figure they're probably already doing it. So,
yeah, Sam, what about you? What do you make of it?
Definitely feels a bit of a slippery slope. Kind of feels like you're opening Pandora's box a little bit, but I'm kind of with Garrett. I do feel like these guys probably, maybe not all of them, but there is probably a small minority of college athletes that are out there that are like, oh, Sunday night football, I don't have anything to do until practice tomorrow. I'll bet on some guy to score a touchdown or something. And but yeah, I mean, I do feel like you kind of open it up and you start to then kind of have some potential real negative implications to your point about like, hey, I got a buddy on the Raptors that wants to throw this game or something like that. And I think that can become quickly an issue for both the NCAA and the NBA or something like that, or whatever league it is. So I don't know. I would say tread lightly. That would probably be my main point.
Yeah, for sure. Jackson, anything to weigh in on this one?
I think it's a terrible idea. It's just promoting gambling to younger people. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that they're athletes. It's promoting gambling. So,
I wonder now if they'll allow some of these gambling sites to have more coverage on these broadcasts. I mean, it's all over the NBA now. On Amazon Prime this year, you can watch the gambling broadcast. I think they partnered up with DraftKings, and you can watch a specific gambling broadcast, like the live odds and stuff like that. You can plug your account in and you can have the on the side of the screen, like what you need to do and stuff like that while watching the game. It's kind of cool, but
that's kind of cool.
But then it makes you want to click that button a couple more times. But I don't know. Anyway. All right, well, that was kind of a contending question as well, as we talk about a big development in college football today. But we'll get into the full slate of our Week 7 contending questions. Last Saturday was a big one for train wreck enthusiasts. Over a 7-hour window, you could watch a previously woeful Clemson name its score against a 6-time Super Bowl champion, a previously winless UCLA team knock off the preseason number 2 team, and a previously 1-3 team decapitate the preseason Heisman favorite. And where to begin this week? Well, let's begin in Chapel Hill, as they called Chapel Bill a couple of months ago, but I think they've renamed it to Chapel Hill once again. Are they going to give Unk the heel is our first question. Even the people at UNC who are most excited to land Chapel Bill must surely recognize by now it was a terrible mistake. Belichick's contract is fully guaranteed for the first 3 years, so it would cost at least $20 million to fire him. Mike Lombardi, college football's highest paid general manager, would have $3 million remaining on his 3-year contract, and defensive coordinator Steve Belichick, who needs to get a haircut and maybe a makeover overall, is owed $1.4 million. And the other assistants would be owed money as well. So now you're essentially paying double the cost for one lousy season. Should North Carolina cut ties with Bill Belichick this offseason or even during the year? I say no, because you went all out to go get this guy and made it a huge publicity stunt. And I think you at least have to give him like 2 seasons to, have some sort of vision here. Because look, Colorado started off really strong with Deion Sanders. They were 4-0 heading into that Oregon matchup, and obviously the Ducks, decimated them. But that was a 1-win team a year ago. UNC wasn't a 1-win team last season, but they weren't a great team, and they don't have a great roster right now either. I think you at least have to let Bill Belichick have a 2 seasons to see what he can do. Maybe next year they win 7-8 games, and that's progress from this year. This roster right now just sucks. There's no way around it. They've got like one NFL guy on this team. And they talked about it in that TCU broadcast to begin the season. Like, TCU has a couple of good players, but the big talk from like Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler was this team just doesn't have the NFL talent. So I don't think they should cut ties yet. Has it been a disaster and a bad publicity stunt? Most definitely. But I think cutting ties this early would kind of kneecap what was a longer vision, I feel like. Garrett, should they cut ties with Bill?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it right now. I think me, along with 80% of the country, saw that this was going to be something that was going to go miserably, as it has. But as you said, they just don't have very much talent on their team. They have one guy that has NFL potential. Their quarterback came out yesterday. They said that he was in a car accident before the season started, and he's been dealing with injuries all of this season. He was a guy they went out and got from South Alabama that they thought was going to make an impact, and he hasn't been great. You have Max Johnson, who was out for the entire season last year, that tried to come back in this season. So quarterback has been an issue, and you just don't have that many good players. His buyout's way too expensive. I think maybe give him a couple recruiting classes, see what he can do. Obviously, they have kind of the whole GM side of college football with Lombardi, and they're trying to run it like an NFL front office. So I don't know, maybe you give him a couple of years and they get the ship riding a little bit. But right now it's pretty awful. When you have a team that in Clemson runs a flea flicker where Antonio Williams throws a 75-yard pass to TJ Moore on the first play of the game, it's obviously a team that you're not too worried about losing to.
Yeah. Sam, should they cut ties with Bill?
Yeah, I'd absolutely cut ties with Bill after the season. This has been a disaster of a season. Nothing's going right for them. You guys talk about how bad of a roster they have. Well, they only have 2 top 100 commits for next season, so I don't see it really getting all that much better. I don't see anyone wanting to go to North Carolina out of the transfer portal after seeing how much of a disaster this year was, to be honest with you. And I think it's hard enough to just go convince guys to go play football in the ACC to begin with. So, if I was a North Carolina fan, I'd rather have the ghost of Mac Brown out there instead of Bill Belichick right now. I think this has been a complete and total failure, and I think it's one thing that you just got to – I don't foresee it getting all that much better, and I think you just got to kind of cut ties with him after 1 year, to be quite honest with you.
Jackson, would you give Unk the heel and say sayonara?
No, I don't think you can cut ties with him after 1 year, but I think you do have to cut ties with his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson.
Well, that ain't happening.
Well, maybe not in their relationship, but something's got to be done about her access to the team and being on the field. This past week, she was kind of having a conversation with the ACC commissioner before the game. I mean, this girl is a former college cheerleader. Like, it's the whole preseason, her being involved, it created just a great opportunity for everybody involved with the team to get distracted. And having a glaring distraction be a major part of what seems to be a major part of their game day experience. I mean, she's on the field every game. There's reports about her doing something, whether it's talking to Belichick or talking to someone else. You got to get her away from the program. And maybe see if Belichick, when he can focus on just football, can turn it around. But, I think expecting him to go out and, turn this team into a college football player contender in year one, it may have been a little overboard. I don't know that anybody was necessarily doing that, but I don't know. This team didn't have major success written on it when he signed the contract, so I don't know what the major outrage is.
Yeah, I think the girlfriend's an interesting aspect to it too. With AI now, there's so many ways to manipulate that situation as well. I remember week one, there were people making AI videos of the girlfriend going up and asking for the credit card for a hot dog or something, all this stuff. I thought that was hilarious. Landon Kelly chimes in on our YouTube chat. Quote, I can't believe they flipped Carson Snead from us, to be honest. Someone add Jackson real quick?
Carson Snead's not a good recruit, guys. He plays at DCA. They're a 1A football school. 1A players really do not translate well. I mean, I played DCA in high school. My team was awful, and the year after they won the national or the state championship, we beat them 45-7.
That's a thumping.
DCA is not good. They don't produce players who translate well to college football. That's not a flip that you should be upset about.
Well, another thing I was going to say about Snead, even before he flipped, I'd been told by a couple of people he was just kind of committing to Tennessee for a little bit of fandom. And you see, like, you get a lot of followers when you commit, a lot of comments, stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like these commits want to get a little bit, pampered by, fan bases and stuff like that. And I was told Snead was that type of guy because he was committed to Tennessee and he was wearing Florida gloves in one of his games. I'm like, dude, what are we doing here?
You've got Deshaun Brame and Jack Van Doorslayer as young tight ends as well. I think this staff feels really good about the tight ends that we've got in the future.
Yeah, AI generated Carson Snead with that name can have a good time with Chapel Bill. All right, we'll move on to another coach that is a little bit frowned upon right now, and that is frowning on Franklin. Penn State is not going to spend $56 million or $48 million after January 1 to fire a coach who wins 10 to 11 games a year, no matter how frustrating it is to keep losing to top 10 teams. But UCLA was a bit of a game changer. Last weekend feels to me like the moment where everyone gravitated from, is he ever going to lead us to glory, to, oh, clearly not, with that despicable loss to winless UCLA. What do you think it would take for James Franklin to get fired, and who would you recommend as a good candidate to coach Penn State if that were to happen? I feel like if Franklin were to get fired this season, they've got to lose, I think, all three of Iowa, Ohio State, Indiana. They lose all three of those, they'll be a 7-5 team, and I think that would be enough to get the can, because Iowa's on the road, and the reason why I mentioned that game is on the road. It's going to be a cold and good environment. The Hawkeyes obviously play really well defensively. I don't love their offense again this season, but I don't think they're beating Indiana. I don't think they're beating Ohio State. Iowa is kind of a toss-up game too right now on the road, especially if they can't get it done against UCLA. I think you lose all three of those games. I think he gets the can. A good candidate to replace him right now. I feel like if you're trying to poach someone else, I think you've got to go, grab another coach from like a Power 4 level school. And I don't really want to go encroach on the SMUs or stuff like that. You've got to go kind of big. Like I'd call Kirk Cignetti and say, come fix this. Cignetti's done a great job at Indiana. And I was even having a conversation about it on the way to work today. I was like, someone said, do you think like Cignetti would take the Florida job? And I was like, well, I think he really likes where he is in the Big Ten. He doesn't have to play that many big games. Like the SEC's got a grueling schedule. If Cignetti moved to Penn State, he's still in that conference that plays like 2 big games a year and can feast up on Northwestern and Maryland. Actually, that's a straight of Maryland, even though they pissed me off on Saturday. We'll say Wisconsin and Northwestern right now. But I'd go Kirk Cignetti if I were Penn State, and I move off of James Franklin. That'd be my suggestion. But 7-5, I feel like would be cannibal for Franklin. Garrett?
Yeah, I just find it a hard time believing he's going to get fired in any capacity that they do this season. The guy's won a lot of games. Yes, he cannot win the big game, but frankly, Penn State has never really won the big game. This is a team that he's elevated their success to what they've got to college football playoffs. I don't think this team really has a national championship pedigree if you fire him and go get someone else. I don't know who you would hire. I thought Cignetti, I think that's a name you could maybe look into. Matt Rule maybe could be someone you could get from Nebraska. Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I mean, those are guys that I don't know that they would leave their current coaching position, but I don't think you're going to find, like, you're not going to get Dan Lanning or somebody to come to Penn State. So you're going to have to go get someone that's at a worse program that's elevated them and come get them to Penn State, or you're going to have to go make a real shot in the dark and go hire, a John Summerall who's been at Tulane, somebody from the G5 level. Maybe Manny Diaz. I could see him coming back. Obviously, former coordinator there, done a pretty good job at Duke, but I don't know. As much as we make fun of James Franklin, I still think he's a pretty solid coach. Even though he can't win the big game, I would just find a hard time seeing him get canned.
Sam?
Yeah, I think Penn State's kind of stuck here, and I think Garrett makes some good points there. It kind of feels like, yes, James Franklin not exactly proving over the years that he can go out there and win those big ones, but he does have a pretty safe floor with them. And, I just feel like if you go out and fire a guy like that and pay what would be a very expensive buyout, I do think you're kind of just – at the very best, getting a lateral move coach. I don't know how many guys that you can kind of bring into that Penn State program that is it's not going to be kind of a downgrade to that fan base at least. And so I do think that they're kind of stuck with James Franklin a little bit, and you just got to hope that he can kind of pull himself up by the bootstraps and find their way out of this hole. But sure doesn't feel like it this year, and I do think it's going to be a pretty restless offseason if that's a Penn State team that doesn't even make the playoff.
Yeah, we'll move ahead a little bit, but Penn State also involved in this one. 3 of the 4 playoff semifinalists, Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame, have already lost 2 games this season. Notre Dame still has a lot in front of them for the college football playoff. Took a loss to 2 really good teams, 2 top 5 teams in the country right now in Miami and Texas A&M. But Texas and Penn State have badly underperformed high expectations. Could the long playoffs be having a hangover effect because of less time for recovery and transfer evaluation, or was it just a mistake in the transfer portal era to assume that the same teams would be good again? And, I talked about this on Monday. When you look at like the top 25 now over the last couple of years, like there's always that one team that kind of falls out. Like Florida State was that last year. They were horrible and they went all through the transfer portal to get it done. But this year, I think like this is the most we've seen out of these top tier teams that just completely crumble. And I feel like there's a combination of both of these questions involved into it. I don't think the transfer portal should open until the college football season is done. But obviously, as we know, these guys have to get into winter classes academically. So you have to do it from that January 2nd to 15th window to figure things out. But I think it puts a strain on some of these teams that are trying to quest for a national championship, but also recruit and do all these other things. The same applies in March Madness, where opening weekend, the transfer portal opens up and you've got coaches that are trying to win a national championship but have to go out on the recruiting trail for the week as well. So like it plays into both, but the example of it not being an issue is the team that won the national championship last year, Ohio State. Maybe that's a bad example because they won, but they had to go through the same type of thing as these other 3 teams, and they haven't had any issues so far this year. So I think it is a mistake to assume in this era that with the transfer portal involved, every team from last year is going to be good once again this season. But I do think the calendar does put a strain on some of these teams that have success the prior season. And maybe that's playing into it, even though Clemson, I guess the Clemson, not one of these teams, but like Penn State is a team that didn't have to rely too heavily through the portal. Now, obviously at wide receiver, they did with Trevor Penna and Devontae Ross, but I feel like it's a little bit of both here. Garrett, would you agree, or do you have a more strong side on one of these?
No, I mean, I think the portal's obviously going to be, you're going to get some eggs in the basket that weren't what you expected. You thought the Penn State wide receiver room was going to be a lot better this year. I particularly look at the running back room has been the problem. I think Nick Singleton has been very bad this year, considering the ceiling that he has. He's not met anything close to that. Texas, obviously, you can say the Arch Manning stuff, but a lot of that, roster this year hasn't performed to the level that we expected. Notre Dame, I think, is a little different. Obviously, they've they've lost the 6th-ranked team in the country and the 2nd-ranked team in the country. I think they're a team that can still win in and make the playoffs. They still have the best running back room in the country. CJ Carr is starting to play better. The defense is looking better. But when you're in the portal era like you are now with an eye on portal, you can have these type of years where one year you might make the college football playoff and the next year you might only win 8 games. So I think that's just kind of the reality that we live in. I like how it's even the playing field, though, for a lot of other teams. The team that we're going to talk about next year in a second, the portal has ended up working out for them in their favor. So I think it's kind of interesting to see how it all works out.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Garrett here. I don't know if I would be grouping Notre Dame in with that Texas and Penn State kind of there. I do feel like this is a younger Notre Dame team, at least offensively, especially with kind of CJ Carr leading the charge there. And I think they've improved as the weeks have gone on. That defense maybe not as hard-nosed as you would kind of expect to start this season. But, man, with Texas and Penn State, I just feel like that was a team that maybe two guys that we thought, this is the year that they, finally get this thing turned around, and they're out there, going year to year playing in elite type of games. And with all the offensive line changes that Texas had and a new quarterback, Penn State just kind of continuing to be that team that you feel like can't put it together in those big moments. I think it is that year to year thing that Garrett just said, and that's kind of the beauty of the transfer portal. And I think coaching just gets magnified in that sense, because one year you might have all the talent in the world, but you just can't find a way to get those guys to mesh together. And I think that is ultimately the difference in 1 or 2 games. And that starts to become your season on if you're making the playoff or not.
Yeah. Well, Garrett alluded to one of these teams that has benefited from the transfer portal. Let's get technical here with Texas Tech, who went on the road and thumped both Utah and Houston. And it's not hard to notice the athleticism is all over the field. But it's particularly evident on the defensive side of the football with guys such as Stanford transfer David Bailey with 5.5 sacks. And Texas Tech ranks 10th nationally in pressure rate with only the 114th highest blitz frequency. And that's very, very impressive. So when they blitz, they have success, and they don't do it very often, which keeps offenses on their toes. Putting aside its well-publicized spending spree, how good is Texas Tech compared to the rest of the college football playoff contenders based on what we've seen on the field? And I'd say right now, Texas Tech is right up there with the most established teams in what they've shown so far this season. Against 2 Power 4 opponents this year, they've held opponents to 10.5 points. And both those teams are 8-2 combined. A combined 8-2 with those 2 losses coming to Texas Tech. I think Utah's a good team. I like Devin Dampier a lot. That's a tough place to go win under Kyle Whittingham. And Texas Tech did it with ease and did it with a backup quarterback for half the game. Houston, I think, is a little bit overrated because of their schedule, but they were still an undefeated team with a quarterback in Connor Weigman who's played a ton of college football. Texas Tech made quick work of them as well. A lot of people tell me right now, William, Texas Tech is not that good of a team. They're not as good as a Tennessee or a LSU or all these SEC teams, and we don't have to compare those right now. But in terms of what this team has done with the schedule they've been given, I think they've proven that this is a college football playoff contender right now and probably the leader in the clubhouse for the Big 12. I'm big on the Red Raiders this year. Garrett, what about you?
Yeah, I like him. Like you said, I mean, I think they're a team, they went out and they spent a lot of money, and it worked out for them. They evaluated talent of players that people probably weren't, as high on, or guys that, a guy from Stanford that you said, David Bailey, that's a guy is made a huge impact for them this season. Probably a guy that, played at Stanford last year, maybe a little bit, undervalued in the portal. You go out there and you get him, and he's been very good this year. But, they kept guys that have been important to their team. I think Barron Morton's a really good quarterback when he's at his full health. I think Jacob Rodriguez is one of the top linebackers in the country. I think that there's a lot of guys that they've brought back to this team that, kind of instilled their values from last season, and then you bring in those guys from the transfer portal. I think Arizona State was the team that everyone expected in the Big 12 to be the best team this year. They brought back so much talent. They didn't really go into the portal. Texas Tech kind of did it the other way. They went in the portal a lot. We'll see kind of as we get further into Big 12 play who ends up being the better team. But as of right now, I'm with you. I think Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12. And if the playoff started right now, I would pick them to be in the playoff.
Jackson, you nod in agreement. Are you on this Texas Tech side as well?
Yeah, I've been a fan of this Texas Tech team since probably the season ended last year, when the transfer portal really started opening up and they started getting some commitments. I know my friends outside of here know how much I like this Texas Tech team.
Yeah.
And I've even said that if Tennessee were to, come out and show that they weren't a contender for the playoffs, I would put my full support this season behind Texas Tech because I believe in I'm never a big fan of just building your roster through the portal, but something about the way they do it, I don't know if it's just their particular coaching or what, but it is working out this year.
Yeah, strong start to the season for the Red Raiders, and they've got a couple of notable games to go in the Big 12. But right now, I'd say the leader in the clubhouse to be the representative in the college football playoff out of the Big 12. All right, when we come back, we'll switch over to the Shield. It's the NFL. Joe Flacco on the move to Cincinnati. We'll tell you if that's a good move for the Bengals and what's to make of this new and updated quarterback room for Cleveland. We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
For over 3 years, Crumble Cookies has served the Knoxville area. From Clinton Highway to Parkside Drive, even our friends out in Maryville have reached you, our fans, with the best cookies in the game. This fall, Crumble is gearing up for yet another fantastic season. Whether you're tailgating or looking for a pick-me-up after getting the kids from school, Crumble has you covered. Download the Crumble app to check out this week's rewards and features. And stop on by. Tell them Fan Run sent you, but don't miss the cookies.
Vol fans, reimagine your home at Broadway Carpets and Flooring for any remodeling or building needs. With a variety of carpets, rugs, hardwood, vinyl, and stone, Broadway has all the flooring and installation options you're looking for, including pet-resistant products like Pet Perfect Carpet from Shaw Floors. Visit their showroom in downtown Knoxville or the location in West Knoxville located on Kingston Pike near Pellissippi Parkway today.
Yeah, it's another day, but what kind of day is it really? A day of doom scrolling? Laundry day? Nah, it's a White Claw day. Light and refreshing tasting, uniquely cold way filtered. There's an iconic flavor for everyone. So grab a pack, grab your friends. Make the most of each day with those who matter most. When you're together with White Claw, every day is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just gotta grab it. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeehaw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-88-99789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Hey, Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
Lucille, she's got a heart of gold. 'Cause perspective is like medicine for your soul.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Coming up in about 30 minutes, 26 minutes. It's The Drive right here on Fan Run Radio. Russell Smith, the Bear, and Walker Smith. I think Bob's still out of town this week. May see an appearance from Bob if he's back. I don't know. I don't want to cut him out. All right, we'll switch over to the NFL. As Joe Flacco is on the move, the Browns completed the latest chapter of their bizarre quarterback history by trading Joe Flacco, the veteran, for a 6th-round pick to the Cincinnati Bengals and a 5th. Excuse me. So it's Flacco and a 6th-rounder for a 5th-round pick to the Bengals. Obviously, the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow right now. They've got Jake Browning quarterbacking this team. That's less than stellar, and he's kind of he's backup. He's backup. But Joe Flacco's been a backup this year as well. He hasn't been great. He's 40 years old and was no longer in the Browns' plans after being benched for rookie Dylan Gabriel ahead of their Week 5 loss to the Minnesota Vikings in London. And Cleveland will likely promote the former Western Kentucky slinger Bailey Zappi from its practice squad and elevate him to probably that quarterback 3 position unless they put him over Shedeur Sanders. But we'll see what that situation is like. But now Gabriel, the guy in charge, Sanders, the backup, Zappi, also the backup. So what do I make of this move, and does this change anything for the Bengals? First off, I feel like there are better options out there for the Bengals. Let's start with Jameis Winston. Let's start with Russell Wilson. Now, I know both those guys aren't great either, but Joe Flacco, dude, come on, 40, and has thrown multiple. I think he's thrown. I think what does he have? Someone look that up for me. I feel like he has a 2-to-6 touchdown interception ratio. That might be way off, but I know against the Lions he came out and tossed 3 of them.
He's got 2 touchdowns, 6 INTs.
Yeah, okay,
and a QBR of 27.
I mean, what are the Bengals seeing that? I don't think that's a good move for the Bengals. I think there are better backup quarterbacks across the NFL right now than Joe Flacco. Are they trying to get an upper hand on a game this season? Getting the Browns defensive game plan? I don't know, but if I'm Cincinnati and if I'm still trying to contend and win games, I go get a Jameis Winston for a couple of games or a Russell Wilson for a couple of games and figure it out that way. I don't think Flacco gives you anything at this point in his career. So I'm not a fan of it for the Bengals, and I don't think this changes a damn thing. They still have a pathetic defense. You put all the money in on the offensive side of the football. Joe Burrow gets hurt, out for 3 months. That's your season. I mean, I don't care who you have at quarterback. You can do a carousel all year long. You can promote guys from the practice squad. You can get guys from off the street. You can get guys that are about to file for AARP here soon. And Flacco, I don't give a damn. I don't think it changes a thing. So I think this is a big move because of the name involved. But the Bengals are, scratching for anything. And I don't think this was the right move to go after Flacco, a guy that was a disaster in the first part of the season so far. What do you make of the move, Garrett? Has this changed anything for the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, I think it's one of those NFL trades where there's no winners. Both teams lose from this trade. I don't think Flacco provides anything over Jake Browning other than maybe experience. Both their numbers are not very good this year. And as you said, I mean, they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I don't think bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback is gonna fix any issues anytime soon.
Yeah. Sam, anything to add on this one?
Yeah, but I was never going to take this move seriously by the Bengals unless it was for Jameis Winston. So it's just I don't know. This will be a move that like Joe Flacco probably has 2 really, really fun games where he just lights it on fire and you get a couple deep bombs to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but then probably the 8 or 9 games other than that are going to be pretty hard to watch, just like Jake Browning.
Yeah, Jackson, anything to add?
Yeah, given how they handled the Trey Hendrickson thing this offseason, it tells me they don't have any money. So I guess they traded for Flacco over the other guys because he's probably the cheapest option.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't afford to pay Russell Wilson's multi-year contract with the Giants. I think he's multi-year.
I felt like it was a 1 year.
I know it's one of Jameis or Russell has a multi-year deal.
Okay.
I believe. So probably just couldn't afford to pay one of those guys, which then again comes when you have the cheapest owner in sports. But yeah, it doesn't. I think they honestly would have been better letting Browning just get adjusted with the offense. I mean, a couple years ago, Browning kept the Bengals alive, kept them in playoff conversation for majority of the season. He went toe-to-toe with Kansas City a couple years ago. So and Flacco's already been named the starter. I got the Schefter notification like right after we started the show. So it's it seems like they're just kind of giving up in Cincinnati.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I mean, Flacco led this team led the Browns to the playoffs, and they had a really, really good defense. That was the reason why they were there, but they still made the postseason with Joe Flacco at the helm. I mean, hell, I guess the Colts were there too, so it doesn't change a whole lot. But I don't see where there's any positivity here moving forward. Garrett says there's no winners. I don't particularly disagree either. I think Cincinnati would be better off driving up to Columbus every Sunday, picking up Julian Sands and come quarterback us on Sundays. So I don't like the move for the Bengals, and it again shows that they're continuing to be one of the most disaster franchises in the NFL. Aiden Sadati chimes in. Is this the second time Flacco is facing Green Bay this year? It will be. Yeah.
They said if he won, because they won the first game, right? He won the first game against. It would be.
Yeah.
He'd be the first quarterback in NFL history to beat the same team twice in like a certain amount of time.
That is funny. Good note there, Aiden. Because that was the Browns' big win when they wore those all brown dud uniforms, and they had the field goal kick. Yeah.
You think they tried to go after Cousins at all? You think that was someone that was on their radar, or is that just too expensive?
Well, as Jackson mentioned, talking about those contracts, Kirk Cousins has a huge contract.
Yeah, there's no way they could have afforded to pay Cousins.
Yeah.
I just think you got to get someone who's a little more mobile back there, too. That's why I'd like Jameis. Like, he's at least a guy that can extend the play. Joe Flacco, Kirk Cousins, 2 guys that once that offensive line breaks down, which is inevitable, there ain't going to be much that is good after the play.
Yeah, poor Flacco, man. Go home. Go watch Netflix. Go toss the football outside. Why? Just retire. Make everything easier.
Kids growing up without a father, man. It's sad.
Oh, I know. I literally last week when he got benched, I was like, oh man, the Flaccos at home are be jumping on the couch, trampoline.
Dad's coming home.
Yeah. I mean, cannonballs in the pool. Now it's he's going off to Cincinnati.
Well, they said when he played the Lions a couple weeks ago, his kids were in Jahmyr Gibbs jerseys at the game.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they're saying, "Come on, Lions, beat up on us so we can get our dad back." They're rooting for. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's still playing, but good for him. Whatever, collect your check. Let's move to the Browns side, and it might not be much better, but as you may know, I am a big Shedeur Sanders guy. I thought he was the best quarterback in this class, and he has not had the opportunity to get his chance yet. Dylan Gabriel, the guy that was selected before him, has been the starter for this team. And I just think what I saw on Sunday was this is a guy that doesn't want to make a mistake. Like this, Dylan Gabriel is not a guy that's going to raise the ceiling for this Browns team. He looks like he's out there just not trying to lose his job to Shedeur Sanders. Because there were a couple of plays he made that you could say, okay, good play. But there are others like where he would purposely just like throw it out of bounds and in harm's way, like on the final couple of drives, too, when the Browns are trying to stack points and win the game. It felt like he was just trying not to mess up. And if you're going to play like that in the NFL, that's not a guy you're going to have long term. Like, Gabriel's already undersized. He's played a ton of college football. You kind of know what he is already. He looked like a guy that was just trying not to make a mistake. Is that I don't know if you guys, watched anything of Vikings and Browns, and I don't blame you if you didn't. But if you have that type of identity at quarterback of just trying not to make the mistake, is that a successful route if you're trying to take over the starting job of the future of the franchise, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, his first game starting, I guess you're going to have kind of butterflies, and that may happen, especially in an environment, playing overseas like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Shedeur probably gets a chance at some point. I mean, I'm kind of in the same camp as you. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft class. I mean, you can say what you want about him off the field. I'm not a huge fan of his off the field antics either, but I mean, I think what he does on the football field is obviously why you selected him, why you picked him. But they picked Gabriel ahead of him, so I guess you kind of have to ride with him first and see what happens. But I don't know. I think Sanders will definitely get the green card to go out there at some point this season. I don't know how many weeks in it'll be, but when you're QB2 at this point, it's going to happen eventually.
Should I mouth this next question to you? I thought that was hilarious. By the way, I know that. I mean, hilarious and about. I mean, obviously, I don't condone that, but
hilariously stupid.
Yeah. I was cracking up at it. Talking about a friend on Sunday night. I can't believe he did that. What is he thinking?
The fact that it was because of like Rex Ryan.
Ryan,
like,
yeah.
To me, I don't know. Like, we can have arguments over what he is as a player, but the fact that you're kind of getting your ego hurt by Rex Ryan, a guy who just talks about football for a living on TV, to me, that doesn't exactly show the mental fortitude that I want to have out of my quarterback either.
Did y'all see they caught him yesterday at a dealership and they interviewed him about the joke? They they have a truck following him? Like, they walk in the dealership and they say, "Oh, there he is. Let's go. That was the most random interview ever. I love some context on that, but I thought he had a really mature answer yesterday, though, when asked about it at the dealership. Maybe he was on his P's and Q's about to get a new car, but he said, I thought he said the right things and didn't mouth them. He pronunciated and said them into the mic, so that's a step, I guess. What do you make of the Browns quarterback situation? Do you feel like Gabriel has any real ceiling here, and do you think at some point we have some perfect timing in Cleveland?
I mean, I did feel like at some point it was just inevitable that Shedeur Sanders was going to get his shot in Cleveland. I feel like this season is just playing out as exactly as I kind of thought it would for the Browns. You give Joe Flacco the chance at the start of the season. If you strike lightning in a bottle again with him, then you roll with that. If not, you're going to give it off to Dylan Gabriel for a couple games. Might go ahead and win one. We'll probably lose a couple more. And then, it'll kind of be far enough into the season where the Browns are kind of out of contention and thinking, all right, we got to start planning for the future. And if this young guy, Dylan Gabriel, isn't the guy, then let's go give Shedeur Sanders a shot. So, yeah, I mean, we're 5 games into the season for Cleveland. I'll give Dylan Gabriel another 2 to 3 or something like that. And then I feel like we'll probably have Shedeur Sanders for the rest of the year. And that'll kind of be his tryout for the Browns on if he's kind of their future of the franchise or not.
All right. Jackson, any comments on the Browns? Very fun quarterback situation.
I don't know if I watched a different game than y'all this weekend, but I watched Dylan Gabriel go 19-33 for 190 yards against a top 5 NFL defense, and throw 2 touchdowns and have no turnovers and lose by 4 points. So I don't see where this is coming from, I guess, where the keys are immediately going to be taken out of Gabriel's hands just because they didn't win. I mean,
well, I'm not saying he's not going to start because he didn't win. I just looked at it as a guy that didn't want to make a mistake. So yeah, like 19-33 and has a couple of touchdowns. And
I mean, he didn't play great, but against a top 5 defense in your first start, I mean, I'd take that stat line.
And again,
it's the quarterback's job to take care of the football, William.
I agree, but when you're in a situation in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to win the game, I think you've got to have a little bit more aggression than he did. There were a couple of throws. I was like, all right, man, it's not practice. Like, obviously, you don't want to make a mistake and turn the ball over, but if you're in a 1-2 minute situation, I didn't understand why he was kind of mailing balls out of bounds and not even, like, put a playable ball out there. in that type of situation is what I was thinking. I'm not waiting for him to get benched, even
You definitely are.
Yeah,
you definitely are.
Yeah, you definitely.
I want Sanders to play. I do. I want him to have his chance. But if Gabriel performs well, then they should keep him. But I'm just saying, I looked at it on Sunday. I was like, I feel like he's kind of playing like not to lose or not to make a wrong play. And is that the best way to go forward? I don't think so. Is that the way to approach your first game ever? Sure. I don't know. I don't see it. Landon Kelly says, Willie boy, you're losing me. Gabriel is him. Well, he's 5'11". I'd calm down on him.
I think we should wait until Gabriel has an awful performance where maybe he turns the ball over at least once. I'm like I said, it was his first start against a top 5 defense. If I'm Cleveland Browns offensive coaches, I'm walking away from that game relatively impressed with what I saw.
Okay.
With Dylan Gabriel.
Well, we'll get another crack at it this weekend. The Browns will match up. Dylan Gabriel gets the football once again. We'll see what he looks like. Again, I'm not being critical. Well, I am being critical of his performance, but I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying I felt like he was, bringing not giving everything out there in certain moments, kind of harnessing some things in. Landon Kelly chimes back in. I have him in Dynasty, so I hope he's good. Okay, there we go. There's a little bit of a context there. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap things up. Stay right here. It's the Playbook presented by VIP Play.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Fan Run is giving away a huge prize package.
That's a big box. What's in there?
You're going to want to find out.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Give me the gun. A winner will be drawn live on Halloween during Fan Run Friday at Calhoun's on the River.
To learn how you can earn entries, make sure you're tuning in daily to Fan Run Radio and following us across all of our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, and Instagram.
At Knoxville Insurance Group, they understand the challenges many consumers face when searching for insurance coverage. That's why whether it's for you, your family, or your business, they create a coverage plan specifically for your unique needs. Knoxville Insurance Group is an independent firm, which means they aren't beholden to just one insurance company. They search multiple companies, acting as your negotiator to find you the best possible policy and price. Start a quote in minutes at KnoxvilleInsuranceGroup.com or call them today at 865-694-9788.
Hey, football fans, this is Stats.
And this is the Sheik. And together we are the Cover Boys. And we cover college football like no one else.
Each week, we preview all the big games in college football. And we may not tell you who's going to win, but we'll tell you who's going to cover.
Our patented right sides are clicking at 66% against the spread all time.
So join us right here every Friday evening at 8 for the Cover Boys on the official voice of Tennessee fans, Fan Run Radio.
And enjoy the winners, everyone.
Have you ever found yourself wishing your clothes looked brand new again? Whether it's your favorite suit, that little black dress, or your comfy winter coat, Crown Cleaners can make it happen. From stubborn stains to delicate fabrics, the expert team at Crown Cleaners uses the latest cleaning technology to ensure your clothes come back looking and feeling fresh. Visit one of their 2 area locations, Kingston Pike on Bearden Hill or South North Shore Drive near Dunkin' Donuts. Online at crowncleaners.com. Crown Cleaners, a tradition of excellence.
All right, rounding things out on the Playbook, presented by VIP Play. Coming up next, it's The Drive with Russell Smith, Walker Smith, and the Bear. Final thoughts on this Wednesday. So I've started doing this keto diet. I've always heard of them before, but I've never actually done it. And my friend encouraged me to start this keto diet. So what it is like no grains, no rice, no starches, stuff like that. And I mean, I can't eat bread anyway because of the gluten allergy, but I eat a lot of rice. Like that's one of my main things. And it has been a pretty big adjustment. I feel like crap. And I called him last night. I was like, dude, why is this making me feel like this? And he was like, well, you're starting like ketosis. I've never been a diet guy, but I've been working out, trying to get in shape, post-grad, all this stuff, like midlife crisis, post-grad type of deal. But the ketosis, man, I feel fatigued. Have you guys ever gone on a diet like this before or like done anything like that?
I mean, I haven't done keto, but I have heard that, like, how long have you been doing it?
Like 3 days.
All right. I have heard that, like, when people start that the first week or so, you don't feel all that great. I think you turn a corner at some point.
Yeah. Like I got home yesterday. I sat down on the couch and I woke up. It was 9:30. I'm like, golly.
I did a carnivore diet for a little bit this summer.
Okay.
That was not enjoyable. It was a mix of having to like cook everything I ate, but also just being limited to only eating meat. I mean, it made me feel good because I was only consuming, meat I bought from the store, put in my pan, and then cooked, but incredibly time consuming and often left hungry after eating.
Yeah. I haven't had the issue with, I will say last night I was starving going to bed, but I really haven't had that big of an issue during the day. But I guess after I'll go home and do some graphics and I'll go and work out. But after I eat before I work out because I like going at like 9:00 to where there's no one there and I can have the whole place to myself. Because like if I go at 6 and they're like 1,000, not 1,000 people there, but it's like this gym in Old City. And there'll be like 10 people there, but I'm used to no one being there. So I'd rather just have no one there so I can do my thing, So I don't know. We'll say I'm trying to get to 180 by Friday. That's the goal.
What have you been eating? What's been a normal meal for you?
Chipotle salad. So I'll get during the day, I'll get double chicken, double fajitas, and the green salsa. And I did guac today because I didn't realize that guac was okay. And then at night, I'll do basically the same thing with double steak. So I'm getting a ton of protein. But I hit the Stairmaster yesterday. And I was like, damn, this it settles in. You don't have a lot of energy to burn off. Like, I guess the whole part of it is like you're burning fat instead of burning like the carbs and stuff off. And I really felt that. I've never been like I've never really done a diet or anything like that. But I'm trying to look good for alumni weekend this weekend.
There we go.
So
something that helped me lose a little weight, because the carnivore diet did not, but just intermittent fasting, just doing that, just really limiting when I eat. And like I typically wouldn't eat until about 4 or 5 I did this for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I just have a really big dinner.
Yeah.
Kind of what One Fear Adventure says in the chat. But that really helped. I lost a couple pounds that I wanted to and felt better about myself. So
yeah, One Fear Adventure says it takes a good week or 2 for your body to adjust. Once you do adjust, you'll feel great. But I can't stick to those diets, so I fast all day and eat one really good meal a day. Okay, I like that. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for a Thursday. Or excuse me, not Thursday. I'm already looking ahead to tomorrow, folks. That's going to wrap it up for a Wednesday edition of the Playbook presented by VIP Play. For Sam Beard, we appreciate you filling in over the last couple of days. Garrett Armbrust and Jackson Freeman. I'm William Pattison. Coming up next, it's The Drive right here on Fan Run Radio.